Hey Rebels, my name is Matthew Barton. Welcome to the Rebellion Brewing Podcast. Do you remember the punk compilation CDs that came out in the 90s and the aughts? Before the ubiquity of the internet, some small music labels would sign up a bunch of bands to submit a single track each. It was kind of like a taster flight for beer, and these damn compilation CDs, they just worked. They were a huge racket for labels and made them tons of money. And they introduced bands to broader audiences than they ever could have gotten just on their own. I think it's nice to have a guide or an expert to help share insights when you're getting into a hobby or a subculture. Today, I'm sitting down with Austin Webb. He's one of the folks behind Saskatchewan's Craft Beer Guide, a new publication all about our local craft beer scene. So let's get into it. Austin, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thank you for having me. That is a great introduction you have there. I have to say I'm a longtime listener, big fan of the Rebellion Brewing Podcast, and happy to be here today.
Cheers. Glad you're listening.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're also a contributor to the guide. You have a fantastic article in there.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's nice. You gave everybody a little bit of a sort of, I don't know, what's happening in the province right now. And obviously it helps out with, people who are in the industry and not in the industry kind of just know what the heck's going on. And I think it was just a really easy to read 2-page article. And yeah, we appreciate your contribution. And I think people should expect to see something from you in issue 2, I believe.
Yeah, I just signed up. I just confirmed that I'm going to be writing another article.
Right on. Well, we'll have to talk again after issue 2.
I think when I was trying to figure out what the first article I should write should be is I kind of said, well, we're just on the tip of everything taking off. So if people are listening to the podcast, they'll kind of already know my thoughts and feelings about craft beer in Saskatchewan, but you guys are a completely different audience to talk to. So when you put out the guide, I was like, I could say all the same stuff that I've been saying over again.
Yeah, well, for sure. But everything you say is on point. I mean, obviously the industry's been growing a lot in the last few years here, and it's really exciting to see the growth. And I think we're on the cusp of a major explosion here.
Well, let's talk less about the work I'm doing. Everybody knows about me. Let's talk about you. Who are you and what do you do with the Sask Craft Beer Guide?
Right on. Well, my name's Austin. I'm one of the people behind the Saskatchewan Craft Beer Guide. Saskatchewan Craft Beer Guide is the second craft beer guide that we've put out. Our company is the Craft Beer Publishing Incorporated, and we're based out of Edmonton. And we've been running the Alberta Craft Beer Guide for 5 years now. Started in 2016, and so there's a small team. There's Andrew. He's one of the people behind the Craft Beer Guide in Alberta there. His lady Erica, she's our editor. And we have Pav, he's kind of behind the scenes, eye in the sky, sort of does a little bit of everything. And we work with Burke Designs, and we have a great designer, Tyson. And yeah, just really small team. Everybody's super passionate about the industry. And the main idea is to educate the interested and entertain the entrenched. And we do that by releasing a quarterly magazine, which has brew profile pages for all the breweries. They're able to talk about 4 of their beers with tasting notes. They have their hours in there. They let people know if they do growler fills, if they have cans to go, what their hours are. We have maps, so you can easily navigate to the next brewery. So we have a Regina map, a Saskatoon map, and a rural map. And then, yeah, just the articles. So in the first issue there, obviously we had your article. Jason Foster is on our team as well. And he's a fantastic journalist, worked with CBC and a variety of different roles throughout his career. He also had him on the podcast. Yeah, you can check him out at On Beer. He did a great feature of Bushwacker, and told their story kind of from start to finish there. They've had an amazing sort of trailblazing history here in the province, which kind of goes over the last 30 years, which is absolutely incredible. And that's a fantastic article. And then Coleman from Nokomis Brewing, he has a pairing pizza and beer podcast or article. And who doesn't love pairing pizza and beer? But yeah, we'll always have new articles. And on top of all that, obviously we have some ads from our sponsors, and the whole magazine wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So shout out to those folks who are supporting us. And yeah, we're just going to keep trying to help grow the industry and keep everybody engaged and up to date.
I was talking to a friend about the Sask Craft Beer Guide, and he's kind of like, isn't that a little analog in this digital age? But I said, as a journalist, coming from the print side, I'm like, there's always room for good print publication, but it can't be a general audience anymore. It has to be very niche and cater to the very specific interests and demands of an audience. That's what really drives it. I wanted to ask you, how did you guys figure out there was an audience for craft beer?
Wow, geez. Well, obviously Alberta was like where we started, like I had mentioned. And when Andrew was sort of looking at this, I guess the base of the story was that Andrew and Erica were out in BC in 2015, and they saw the Growler, and the Growler is the craft beer guide of BC. And Andrew had been doing sales for a decade. He had a lot of marketing experience. He was running 2 magazines in Alberta at the time. He contacted them and said, hey, like, would you guys like to get this going in Alberta? And didn't hear back really from them. And after some time passed, he's like, okay, I'm just going to do this myself, which is really brave of him, because the brewing industry in Alberta, the craft brewing industry in Alberta in 2016 was significantly smaller than it is obviously in 2020. And it sort of correlates to the story of Saskatchewan, as the legislation made it easier for these businesses to open and have tap rooms and do growler fills. There's an explosion that came. And yeah, they were just confident that the magazine could help, grow the business and the industry. And, they saw the growth go from, I think there was about 40 breweries in Alberta in 2016, and they're up to about 140 breweries now. So it's tremendous growth. And obviously the market share increases a lot. And Saskatchewan is just a smaller population. And we've seen, tremendous growth in the last few years here. I think we're, from what I've seen from Rebellion, about 5% of the beer sales in the province are craft beer sales. And we want that to double. We want it to be 10% one day, and then onwards and upwards, right? So, but how can a brewery have time to start a magazine or a guidebook to grow the industry on top of canning, brewing, sales, distribution, marketing, all that stuff? And I think that's why it works out really well for us as sort of a neutral party to be able to come in and do this. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, we've seen this guidebook style work in BC with the Growler, and we've seen it work in Alberta, and now it's seemingly we're getting a lot of great feedback here in Saskatchewan. So I think this should definitely help.
I know I've been doing the podcast, and it's a very niche, kind of like a scalpel versus a shotgun approach to getting people excited about beer. When you tune into this podcast, you're going to be probably hearing about Rebellion and getting Rebellion's opinion. But you guys are kind of like a step removed. So when I think about it, and you guys came here, what was your approach? Because you're not Rebellion. You got a different idea of how this is going to work.
Yeah, definitely. It being sort of not in any of the businesses obviously is great. Because we get to go talk to everybody with open eyes and open ears. But I think one of the biggest things is we're all really passionate about the brewing industry. I myself am a trained brewer. I went to Olds College and took the Brewmaster and Brewery Operations course. And I worked in Alberta for a couple of years in brewing. And then obviously with COVID, everything kind of got flipped up on its head. And I ended up back in Saskatchewan, and Andrew sort of pitched me on, being involved with this. And I was a little hesitant at the beginning because I was like, there's a global pandemic. Like, I don't know if this is the right time. But he has a lot more marketing and branding experience and sales stuff than me. And he's like, this is the time. They need the help right now. Like, we got to get this industry, all the help they can get during this really tough time. And that's what sold me on it, because I know how hard it is for the breweries. I've been there. I've worked there and, been grinding day in and day out and bussing tables in between, cleaning kegs just to help out and stuff. So, yeah, we get it. We really are fully entrenched in the industry and we're really passionate about it. And for me, like, the best part was going to all the breweries and getting to meet the owners, getting to meet people like yourself, like when we sat down back in October. And again, like I said, I was a little bit like, I don't know if this is the right time, restrictions with COVID, blah, blah, blah. But everybody was like, man, this sounds awesome. This sounds really exciting. This sounds like it's going to help. And that's what, really sold us on, like, yeah, this is going to be a helpful tool for the industry. And, obviously this first issue came out in March and it's pretty much gone anywhere you can get it. And I think that's a sign that it's definitely working. And obviously we have plans to be releasing these quarterly. So the next one will be June and then September and then December. And I'm anticipating that the demand for the guidebooks will grow. And that's, hopefully the whole idea is to help you and all the other brewers across the province sell more beer.
Where can people get the guides besides Rebellion's Taproom?
Wow. Okay. So it's a pretty long list. So every single brewery in the province has this guidebook. And that's obviously all the way up to all the ones in Saskatoon, all the rural breweries, and that's as far south as Maple Creek. We also have some restaurants, so craft beer focused restaurants that are distributing it. So Yard and Flagon in Saskatoon.
Dam Smokehouse up in Nipawin.
Dam Smokehouse. Shout out to Dam Smokehouse for being one of the best in the business. Let's see here. All the Leopold's Taverns have it. So in Regina and Saskatoon and in Warman. Every single Sobeys liquor across the province has the guidebook. All the Saskatoon Co-op locations have it. I'm definitely forgetting somebody here. Nightjar Diner and Swift Current.
That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. And I'm definitely missing a couple here, but yeah, it was a really extensive list. I drove 3,000 kilometers around the province to drop it off. I got out of Regina right before the new restrictions came in. So thankfully I was not there while you weren't supposed to be there. But yeah, any brewery in the province, any craft beer focused restaurant and, or not any, but a few, and then the co-ops in Saskatoon and the Sobeys in Regina, Saskatoon, and the rural co-op or Sobeys as well. So, again, thank you to our sponsors who supported us and were able to help us get it as wide as we could. I know that few people reached out and asked if we could mail it out to them because they were like, oh, we're 2 hours away from our brewery. So we did mail some out, but our distribution, there's 2,400 copies of each issue. And they're pretty much all spoken for, and I kept a handful, and I was able to mail them out to all the people who asked for them. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can continue to do that. But now a couple more that are coming to mind here. Stumbletown Distillery and Crossmount Cider definitely have it as well.
You might be one of the few people who got to visit every single damn brewery in this entire province during COVID.
Yeah. I did.
Do you have any favorite memories from visiting across? What stands out in your mind?
Jeez. Well, yeah, I mean, they were all really great experiences. Obviously, the first delivery was a really special moment for me, just because it was so much hard work to get this going. But that was Armory in North Battleford, and they were just so stoked. And Matthew was in there. Brewing I don't know if he was brewing, but he was working in the brewery that day, and he's like, oh man, you gotta try this Black Pilsner, it's coming out next week, it tastes absolutely fantastic. And so I got to drink his Black Pilsner with him, and he was really proud of the beer, and I was flipping through the guidebook with him and one of the owners, and they were just ecstatic, and saying like, oh man, hopefully this helps draw people out to North Battleford who don't know about us. And I was like, dude, for surely it's gonna happen. And then
it's on my list.
I mean, Of course, it's an absolutely amazing tap room and an absolutely fantastic crew of people there. But all the breweries were obviously really enthusiastic to get it dropped off. Obviously, with COVID, it was more of a quick, hey, here's the guidebook, thank you, on the way out the door kind of thing. Would have liked to, sit down and shake everybody's hand and give them a hug and, really go in depth of how things were going. But Maple Creek, just because it's so far south there, I actually spent the night there. But yeah, so I got down to Rafter R there, and it was quite a long drive. I mean, there's not really anywhere in between Saskatoon and there. And he was just kind of tidying up for the night. And he gave me his Rauch beer, which was just absolutely fantastic. If you're not familiar with Rauch beer, it's a smoked beer, German style. And Ryan makes absolutely fantastic beer. Rafter R is highly, highly underrated. And they don't just have growler fills. Like, they're not doing packaged product around the province. So if you want to get it, you got to pretty much get down there. And then, it's just getting up to the damn smokehouse. Me and my lady went up there and had a really great barbecue lunch. And the food was so good that we were looking at hotel prices so we could stay and go for dinner and eat another meal there.
I believe you. It's that good.
Yeah, for sure. And then, but yeah, one of the highlights, honestly, in the whole process was, shooting the cover with Grant and the crew at Bushwacker. Obviously 30 years of business is absolutely fantastic. The cover, they got, their whole sort of crew on the cover there, all 9 of them, and several generations of people covered. And that was just a really fun day. They were really hospitable and, have great food. Obviously, eat anytime you get a chance to eat at Bushwacker is fantastic, but they've got great beers on tap. And obviously, it's really limited in there right now with the COVID restrictions. So it's nice to be able to support them. And, they're not, canning, and they're not sending beer all over the province. So they're obviously selling less beer, but it was a really great day there. And I really hope to cover, helps, tell that story and draw people in. But yeah, just everywhere I went, it was nothing but positive. And all the taproom people, all the, owners and all the brewers and everybody I got to chat with quickly was absolutely fantastic. And seemingly for issue 2 here in June, it's going to be quick in and out again. And then maybe once we get into September, it'll be, sit down and chat and catch up and shake people's hands and, congratulate them on their hard work over this last hard year for keeping going and staying strong.
Well, I can't speak on behalf of all the other breweries, but I can speak on behalf of myself and say thank you. It means a lot to us that you guys are putting out this publication.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
When it comes to beer, this is a beer podcast, and I really wanted to pick your brain because you're like, man, I brew and I've been to all these breweries, and this dude has got knowledge under his belt. He's going to have some interesting opinions. So what do you got for me today?
So today, and there was a lot of beers that I wanted to shout out on here, and it's just too many. So I just went with one beer. It's a brand new release. And I want to say a big shout out to my friend Tanner. He's doing a great job. He's working at Shelter, but he's also working at Saskatoon Brewery. So he's just busy. And Saskatoon Brewery, they've got these new labels. They're made by Gladline Graphic Design out of Saskatoon, and their new look is absolutely fantastic. They've got a craft lager, they've got a blonde ale, they got a hazy IPA, and they're just doing a great job. Tanner is just killing it there. So I tried out this new fresh batch of the hazy IPA. It's their first batch of this hazy IPA. So it's New Zealand hops, so Waiti and Watuka. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, and Amarillo as well. Super soft, hazy, pillowy, double dry hop, New England IPA, absolutely fantastic. Stone fruit, citrus, peachy, really low bitterness, lemon, orange, and lime, just fantastic.
You just want to put your nose in the glass?
Oh, I mean, come on. It doesn't get much better than this. But yeah, it's an absolute banger. And they're just kind of, again, they had a really tough year here with COVID, and we're pretty much shutting down. And Tanner's been there working his tail off, and they're just kind of slowly going here. They got the new look labels and just plugging away. Absolutely fantastic craft lager, crisp, clean, easy drinking. So, yeah, I mean, just wanted to shout him out because we went to school together and he's doing a really good job. And we were roommates in college, and I know he's a heck of a brewer and he's really working his tail off at 2 breweries and helping out a lot. So just wanted to make sure people knew about his new damn good hazy IPA that's out. And I'm a big hazy and juicy guy myself. So I love your guys' beers. I love the Zilla. I love the hazy. I love the double IPA, all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, Multinational's always got the hazies, Pile of Bones white IPA, homebound. Yeah, Tom's making fantastic New Englands. 9 Miles, new Eagles and Bulldogs. Like, there's just too many. Like, you actually are unable to keep up with all them. And thank goodness we've got all these great local retailers here, Co-op, Sobeys, Metro Liquor, Urban Cellars. Everybody seems like they're really focused on having all these craft beers available and, displaying them in a prominent way and making it easy, and knowledgeable staff, that really helps too when you can go in and ask questions. But it's actually impossible to drink all the new beers coming out across this province. And I don't know how you would really be able to. And then also, with Armory, right? Most of their beers are just on tap there. And Rafter most of their beers are just on tap there. And Iron Bridge, they're new and they get some great beers coming out, and you can't always just get down to Lumsden, So, and then Nokomis, they got all their funky, crazy stuff coming out. So it's just, you can't keep up. And we're really lucky. I mean, I have to say, I've been all over Canada and then across the United States drinking beers, and the quality of beers that are coming out in this province are on par, and if not better. But we should be really proud. And if you are a Saskatchewan Craft Beer fan and you're in the liquor store and you haven't tried something, try something new. And if you're trying to decide between something local and from another province, maybe try the local thing out, because, you'll be really impressed. And, there's always new stuff coming out. So you just can't go wrong in this day and age here in this province. And like I said, I mean, I mentioned the beer quality, but the ingredients, we've got the local barley here, some of the best in the world being grown here. Maker's Malt is just doing an absolutely fantastic job. We've got local hop suppliers, which are just absolutely getting better every year. JGL is just crushing it. Prairie Berries, they're in southern Sask there, but they've got some really great fruit products available. And even outside of the beer, there's just really great products like these seltzers, these pressed wine beverages from Outlook there. Wolf Willow is just doing a great job. Crossmount Cider. I think everybody's just really stepping up their game, because as one brewery gets better, then the next brewery's got to go better and then better and then better and better. And us as the consumers are the real winners here. It's just, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Well, there you go. The guy who's been to every single brewery in 1 year during the pandemic. He's giving you some knowledge.
Hey, yeah.
Well, I wanted to say my next question was going to be what's next for the craft beer guide, but I think you already answered it. So let me ask, what's next for Austin?
What's next for me? So I'm back to work for the summer as a forest firefighter. So doing that, and just want to remind you folks to stay safe out there this summer. Keep your fires under control. But hopefully people are outside enjoying the forest and whatnot this season. And I love forest firefighting, and I love brewing beer, and I love being a part of this craft beer guide, and I love being part of this industry. So I'll be sort of continuing on with the craft beer guide on my days off from firefighting. You can expect to see the next issue coming out in mid-June, and then mid-September, and then mid-December. So keep your eyes peeled for that. My role is sort of keeping up with our sponsors and keeping up with people like yourself who provide content and shooting the cover. Can't say who's on the next one, but I'm going down somewhere on Friday to do cover number 2. So you guys can get excited to see that coming out in mid-June there. And just going to keep supporting local breweries and sharing craft beers with my friends from a safe and responsible distance.
I know you're all the way up in L'Orange as we're recording this, but I think what I usually like to do with the episode is send people home with beer. We can't do that quite today, but my personal offer is to you and your firefighting team, men and women fighting fires up north. When you get the chance, come back down to Rebellion. You just tell them, hey, Austin sent me Matt, and I'm just going to buy a beer for him.
I appreciate that, and I'll pass it on to the crew here, and they will be really stoked to hear that. You got some Rebellion fans here already, but you'll definitely have a few more after that. I appreciate that.
Thanks for your time today, man.
Thank you for your time today.
Rebels, thanks for listening today. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, be sure to join us on our brand new Facebook group page, The Rebellion Brewing Podcast. I'm going to include links in the show notes so you can find more about Austin and the Sask Craft Beer Guide, but I think you can just check any local tap room and find it across our province. I'm also proud to let you know that we're members of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. It's a one-stop shop for tons of locally produced shows from across our province. You can find them at saskpodcastnetwork.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Untappd so you don't miss out on the latest in Sask Craft Beer news. Thank you for joining the Rebellion.